Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Mike in the building. Swish for real. Man, I appreciate y'all. We really our subscriberships is growing now. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Boogie Bob, appreciate y'all. And we're in the building with my buddy Boogie Bob. Boogie, how you living, man? How things going on your side of the world?
I'm wearing my new swag. It's kind of a cross between a shirt because it's got a collar and a sweatshirt. It's thick like a sweatshirt. Got a Western Conference patch here.
Nice.
Got a Mavs patch here. Got big
Nice.
old nice spelt Mavericks. So got to be representing.
Facts. We in Dallas, so we gotta represent the city. I gotta represent the city like this. We talk Dallas. Switch for is all about Dallas, man. Other than that, everything's good.
Comment, subscribe, like. We'll send you one of those shirts that Big Mike's got on. So
Yeah,
how you living? How's your week been, Big Mike?
man. Busy. I just finished writing my next short film, so I should be probably starting filming that probably by January, mid-January, end of January. So hopefully it won't take no more than 2 weeks to film. Um, Depend, give or take, you know what I mean. But it's a pretty good love story drama, and we're
You
casting
need do you need extras for your background?
this one. Ironically, and not probably, maybe in the restaurant scene that we're going to be shooting, we may need some people to sit in like as patrons to the restaurants. Definitely could use people there, but again, it won't be until mid to late January that we start getting everything locked down and start filming at that point. But yeah, heck yeah, you, Wild Dog, Jet, all y'all, anybody we can use because it was a independent film, small, but we're still growing, trying to get the next one out and trying to do something great, man. But yeah, other than that, my week's been pretty decent. As you we alluded off air, my grandson is actually back with his mom, so he's chilling. Probably see him hopefully in the next couple of days, Christmas time type thing. So we'll see. Other than that, yeah, my week's been good, man. But yeah. Uh, Anyways, people, I'm glad you guys joined us today. We got some great stuff to talk about today, and one of the main topics has been really beating me down since he's been traded is Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic has made the Lakers a household name again in so many ways. Since LeBron is at the twilight of his career, probably going to retire within the next year or so. Probably next year, I think, is going to do his farewell tour. Is Luca this year possibly, but maybe in the next year or two, can he take the Lakers to the championship? And if so, how that look? Who will they face off against? And again, the question is, can Luca take the Lakers or make them a contender? What are your thoughts on that, Boogie Bob?
So there's two thoughts on that. Are we talking about skinny Luca or are we talking about fat Luca? So
Well,
for
that's
those followers, we've talked about Luca quite a bit. We're still doing a podcast a decade from now. We'll still be talking about that trade. But yeah, skinny Luca is the real deal. Uh, you see him going to the hole and dunking a lot more. And
yeah,
they got AR. What is it? 15 is his number. Austin Reeves
yeah.
or
AR,
AR 7, whatever is the
I think it's AR 7.
AR 7. Uh, I just wrote down four kind of quick hits. Contender, maybe. Uh, Definitely a top four seed with the way they've started the season. You got essentially a three-headed monster that all play the same game, and usually they don't work, but they've been able to blend it. So when Luca's not hot or they need a ball handler, they can shift it to Reeves. When he's not hot, they can shift it to LeBron. Like you can't double team any of those guys. So uh, that's a pretty nice, same skill set, and they all can score.
And you know what's
So
crazy
definitely,
though? The most surprising out of those three was Austin Reeves.
he's in his 4th year, and he didn't like the offer the Lakers gave him for an extension, so he signed a 1-year deal. And this summer he'll be an unrestricted free agent. So
Wow.
he'll be like Brunson. He'll be cashing in that paycheck uh,
Yeah,
somewhere.
especially because he had a 50-point game. That was just crazy this year.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he took 50 shots to get there. He only took 20 some shots and went to the free throw line. So
Yeah. Is that a
it,
testament to how the NBA has changed throughout the years, more offensive minded and defensive minded? Or I guess it's officiating as well.
well, I mean, you get to obviously 3-point shots change, but to get to the free throw line a lot more is that they're padding the stats. But early 80s, before the Pistons came along and the Bad Boys, the early 80s, at the reunion, they would give a free pizza if the Mavericks scored 125 points. And, they play Denver, and it'd be like 145 to 150 without overtime, just a regular, early 80s, they shot a few 3-pointers, but there was a lot of run and gun. The Showtime Lakers, even Larry Bird, that was considered half court team with the Celtics scored. So, they look at scoring per possession, but early 80s, there was till the Bad Boys came along, there was a lot of scoring in the NBA. So
Mm.
you had a lot of athletes, and it wasn't on TV as much back then, so people were not aware of it. Uh, but yeah, I think it's probably a little easier. These kids, they practice half court shots, from
Yeah.
teenage years up. So, you know, you can hit a logo. Lillard was kind of a special moniker, but now everybody shoots from the logo. So,
Thanks.
uh, but yeah, that's a nice problem for them to have. They're going to have to pay big money, which means LeBron probably doesn't play his last year as a Laker. What if the Mavericks can sign him as a mid-level exception? He come play with his two
Who,
buddies,
LeBron?
Kyrie and Anthony Davis.
Now,
Wouldn't that
my
be?
question would
Wouldn't
be,
that? But wouldn't
so
that
I was
be
going
a
to say,
heck
my
of
question would be, and
a
I think I posted
say again?
it, it could be. I was going to
Yeah,
say, that question you're asking, I had posted that onto our site. Would he be better suited coming if they got LeBron? Would he be better suited coming off the bench as far as playing for the Mavs?
yeah. I mean, you keep his minutes down, you save him for the playoffs. But he's played with Kyrie, he's played with AD, so you got
Yeah.
built-in chemistry. Yeah, they're gonna have to. They're not Lakers if they sign Austin Reeves to that that 40-45 million dollar contract. They're not. LeBron won't be able to sign a $50 million contract with them.
Mm,
So just depends if he wants to stay there, and all his kids have graduated high school, I think. But back to your question, Luka's made him a top 4 team, so I think they'll have a home court series. I don't think they're going to get the number 1 seed, which is to my third point. Uh, it's going to be tough to get through Oklahoma City and the Spurs. So, it's looking like the Spurs will be the number 3 seed or 2 seed, and the Lakers will be 2 or 3. Or somebody at a 4, Denver might sneak in there. So you're going to have to beat to get to the Western Conference Finals. You're going to have to beat one a Spurs, the Oklahoma City, or Denver. Just 2 of those 3 teams just to get to the Western Conference Finals. So that that's uh that's going to be tough, which leads me to I don't know. We're not even talking about the Rockets, uh, but it leads me to the last point. They're really lacking a big man depth. DeAndre Ayton's having his career year, but they don't have any depth behind him. And they got Jackson Hayes and some other guys that small ball, but they're lacking depth. And even with Ayton, they don't have any real rim protection. So when you got to
mm.
go up against Wemby or Holmgren or Sagoon or even KD, it's like you can't guard all those guys. So, I, I top four, yes. Contender might have to be an injury or something. The right matchup, right break.
Okay. Um, Speaking of Luca and what he's done so far, is there going to be if he does lose Reeves, then that, like you said, that could be a factor in regards to if they can be contenders or not. And Luca, he can carry a team for the most part, but he got to have the right people around him in order for him to even be able to take a team back to the conference finals or even the championship. You think what would be maybe if you thought of a player that they can get if LeBron and Austin Reeves left, who would they be able to pick up? And I know you probably haven't had a chance to look into that, but off the top of your head, who would they want to pick up to help them out?
Well, the type of player you need, and 3 and D is often overused. That's somebody that can hit a 3-pointer and play defense. And I think that's often overused. But the kind of player you're talking about is a Duncan Robinson or a younger version of Jimmy Butler, or maybe even a younger version of Kawhi Leonard. Somebody that when Luka draws a double, triple team, they can knock down I haven't looked at the numbers, but Hachimura's numbers, I'm pretty sure, have gone up. Uh, he, that's what took the Mavericks so long to adjust because they were built around Luka and he's not there. So their shots, the ease of their shots and where they got their shots has completely changed. It's taken them a while to adapt to where their shots are.
Yeah.
So they don't the current roster, they were limited what they could do. Uh, with LeBron's money coming off the books, maybe you go get more players. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith, but you're
What?
looking for like a Duncan Robinson type player, or even Kyle Kuzma, uh, Brandon Ingram. Somebody who can get you 20 a night, not 20 on one night and zero the next, but consistently get you 20 hit. You can't leave open. That's the kind of player you would need around Luka.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Brandon Ingram play for the Lakers already?
I think he was in the original Anthony Davis trade when New Orleans sent all those players to LA and LA sent a bunch of players to New Orleans. So I
Yeah.
think you're right, but he was young.
Yeah.
Uh, Julius Randle signed an extension, so he's not available. There's Kuzma, Contavious Caldwell Pope, Lon, Lonzo Ball. I mean, they had the number one or two or top five pick for like 5, 6 years in a row there. So
That's crazy.
a lot of them are playing elsewhere.
Yeah. All of them sporadically around the league for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, even before they traded Luka, they were talking about Pascal Siakam instead of PJ, but Toronto wanted too much at the time. But that's the kind of player you need somebody on the same timeline, roughly within a year or two of Luka's age, but somebody just a running buddy who can you know, just somebody that knock it down.
Facts. And speaking of championships, and hopefully the Mavs get there before the Lakers get there, the Emirates NBA Cup was just held, and it was facing the two teams that were in there were the San Antonio Spurs, and we talk about 2025 here. San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks, and everybody had the Spurs winning the Emirates Cup. Matter of fact, the Spurs were leading for a good minute in that game. What are your thoughts on the Emirates Cup? And is it going to be something that kind of brings more eyes to the NBA, or is it just like I know we talked about this last year, and it's similar to what they're doing in Europe because they have their own similar thing. What is it the benefit of having the Emirates Cup for the NBA?
I mean, the players get money if they win championship, but compared to the salaries they're getting, it's like having a $1,000 steak bill at a steak restaurant and tipping $1. It's just, you know, I forget what it is, it's like 50,000 for the team or something, but it's just so small that that isn't going to make a difference. It's probably not like they're talking about the Knicks being able to hang a banner, since they hadn't won one since '69. Then I think last year we talked about, is it even worth hanging a banner over? But I think it's still a novelty. Uh, the players really could give a hoot less. The European players kind of like it. It's almost like a mini All-Star break for some teams, even though they continue playing. The Mavericks they played like when they got eliminated, they had like 5, 6, 7 days off.
Yeah.
So, most teams, I don't think there was a game for like 4 days unless you were in the semifinals. So, all but four teams got a nice 3 or 4 day break. Basically, in the first quarter of the season, not quite the halfway point. We're close to 30 games, but I think the players look at it as ho hum. There's but Vegas is getting publicity from it. The Knicks are being able to hang a banner, okay. The NBA gets ratings from it. The NFL caught on to, we can't let the NBA own Christmas Day. What is it, like 6 games on Christmas Day in the NBA? And so there's a couple NFL games to try to compete with the NBA, who basically for the last decade have owned Christmas Day. Historically, the Emeritus Cup winner is not a predictor of the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
There's one exception. Do you know who the exception is?
Lakers.
No, they won it, but they didn't win the championship that year.
Nope. Oklahoma?
The Pacers won it last year and then got to the finals.
Oh, I thought just thinking who and won the finals.
No, getting to the finals.
Okay, got it. My bad.
Yeah. Everybody that's won the cup until last year did not even make the finals. The Bucks won it and then disappeared in the first round. Lakers won it, disappeared in the first round. I think this is the fourth year. So last year, the Pacers, and everybody's kind of like, oh well, they won't go there. And then Rick Carlisle takes them to the NBA Finals. So that's the only except it's not a predictor of the NBA Finals. Like Oklahoma City lost to the Spurs, and they're kind of like, it's our second loss of the year. And it didn't even really, the I think the semifinal game counts, but the finals game, it doesn't count on your record. So
yeah, I was gonna mention that because I thought that was a great idea because like why are you playing these games if they win or lose, it doesn't count toward their record. It should count toward their record.
Yeah, you want everybody playing 82 games. You don't want to come down to the end of the year and two teams tied for first place and one played in the Emeritus Cup and has one more win or loses first place because of one more loss. So, but the ones that didn't make the Vegas trip, they actually played an away game and a home game. So that's why the Mavericks had so many days off. They played last Friday and beat Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know we gotta chime in on the Mavs soon in the next podcast or so, but man, I'm kind of excited what's going on.
Well, and we said from the very beginning when we talked about the Emeritus Cup, I think they had first called it the NBA Cup, but so that they're getting some marketing money now for it. But we said from the very beginning it was two things: trying to get Vegas the team and getting marketing out there. The players hated it, when it first got in, but now they're seeing, hey, if we don't make it, we don't wind up winning enough games to make in the semifinals, we get we get like 3, 4 days off, and coach may have one practice. It's like,
A little rest time.
so
But
I don't think much of it. It's a novelty.
yeah. Okay, I was gonna ask. You mentioned
Now,
the
now,
European
what you
players.
could make one thing you could do to make it more interesting is the loser of they do this in soccer in Europe. The loser gets knocked down to the lower league. So if the loser or whoever lost the most games of that gets knocked down to the G League for a year because they didn't win enough games, and I think he played 3 or 4 games before you go to semifinals. Can you imagine if say the Brooklyn Nets didn't win any of their Emeritus Cup games, and they had to play in the G League for a year because they didn't win any of the.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean New Orleans. Now you're talking an anti-tank. And New Orleans don't even own the first pick this year. They traded it away to Atlanta.
Yeah, and
So
that was gonna be my question to you. How it fares from the European version of what we're doing, and you kind of answered that question. So I was like, I didn't even know they did that, but that's more so on the soccer level, though. But still, like if
yeah,
you have a good
and when you
season
get
time,
knocked when you get knocked down a division in soccer, you're talking major revenue change.
yeah, and especially when it comes to just basically having that option to make more money when it comes to the Emirates Cups. And I think when I looked at it, the losers they get $212,000, and the winners get 500 something $1,000. That's still
Yeah, for the whole team, not per player, for the whole team. And
for the
so,
whole team.
is it per player or is it for the whole team?
Let me double check because I thought it was said for per player they got that amount. Now I believe so. Let's see.
E-
It
even if it was 500,000 for each player, a lot of the player salaries are getting close to $1 billion per game.
yeah.
The next contract, there's already a couple players in the next year or two with extensions going to be making 70 to 75 million a year. There's 82 games, so they're getting really close to $1 billion a game. And it's like, okay, we'll give you half of what you make in a normal regular season game. We'll give you half of that to go play in Vegas.
And the last thing I want to say about this, and I want your opinion on it. Does it even matter that like you? I know you mentioned that they haven't won it, the Knicks that is, since the early what 80s or 60s or 70s.
69.
So what is 16? Dang, even bad. That's so. What does that really? I mean, does it give the morale to the team? Like, hey, we did this, blah blah blah, and does it boost up the city in some sense?
I don't think that's where it adds. I think what it does is it gives the Knicks some confidence when they get to the playoffs that maybe they didn't have after losing last year. They had uh, some pretty tough battles. Went I think 7 games, 2 of their series. So I think it gives them some confidence when they go into the playoffs. Uh, their leading scorer in that game was OG Anunoby. It wasn't Brunson. Carl Townsend, he set out, came back, played injured, but he only had like 15 points and 10 rebounds. So Dylan
Yeah.
Harper was
Well,
the leading scorer for the Spurs, not Wemby.
and
So
he's a rookie. Ah, well, hey, it is what it is. I congratulations, New York, for winning the Emirates Cup. We haven't got there yet, but hey, we went to the Western Conference Finals, so I'm still proud of that.
yeah,
Anyway, speaking of this,
the last year the joke was, do you hang a banner and do you get rings for it? And I'm like, oh please, maybe a maybe a toe ring, for the beach or something.
or a bracelet. I don't know about a ring. But speaking of the Spurs, though, the Spurs have been really, really good lately, and they are actually sitting in the fourth spot in the Western Conference. Their record is 19-7, and it's tied with the Lakers. That's crazy. To even say that. Well, the Lakers are, they are the Lakers with Luka, LeBron, and AK-40, well, AR-15. It is. It's AR-15. That is. So anyway, your thoughts on them? Can they surpass the Lakers and the Nuggets to be second? And who's in first? We already know it's the Thunder. Will they be the top of the league if they continue to play the way they are with Dylan Harper coming on, Wemby's back, and they got Castle? They got a great team that's really, really playing very well together. Can they surpass the number one seed Thunder? What are your thoughts on them in the Western Conference as far as the Spurs go?
I think they could pass the Lakers and get in that 2 or 3 seed. Uh, Denver is a mystery. If Jamal Murray's healthy, uh, then Denver could easily finish second. Jamal Murray, though, been hurt a couple times, and so Joker's putting up ridiculous statistics again. They don't have Michael Porter Jr. They got what was it, Cam Johnson for him. By the
Mm-hmm.
way, by the way, leaving the Mavericks game the other night against Brooklyn, Michael Porter Jr. walked right by me. I was like 5 seconds away from getting a picture with him.
Dang.
He's a big dude, but uh, they traded Michael Porter Jr. for salary, and he had some back issues and what have you. They strengthened their bench. They don't have Westbrook from last year, but they brought back Bruce Brown and a couple other supporting pieces. So uh, I think the Spurs will jump ahead of the Lakers. You got to remember their record is with they. How many games have Wemby missed? Like
Like
10 games
5?
so far.
Yeah. Was it 8? I thought it missed like 5.
Well, even if it's just 5, they're doing this with or without Wemby.
Yeah.
So
Let me
earlier in the season, one of our questions was, "Where do we think?" And I said that Spurs would be a play-in. And now we're talking about they could be the second or third seed. I mean, let's face it, unless Oklahoma City has a major injury or just falls completely off the cliff, they're beating teams by an average of 18 points. 18, that
now
even 3 corners, that's six possessions. Uh, so Oklahoma City, unless the wheels completely fall off, I don't think there's any team out there that standing wise that's going to knock them out. So you got between the Lakers, the Spurs, and Denver and Houston going to be fighting it for the second, third, and fourth seed.
let me ask you this quick question though. When Chris Paul was a Spur at the time, what what did he do in regards to helping them excel to where they are now? Did he and what intangibles did he bring to the team?
Well, one, you got a veteran who knows how to play the game. Two, a veteran that knows how to sustain, and you don't play 20 years without knowing how to keep your body. So Stephen Castle got a quick lesson on how to survive in the NBA. And Wemby got a lesson of, he didn't add to Wemby's talent, but he had basketball IQ, but he added in a different way of, here's where your shots are going to come from. Here's where you need to be. Here's where you need. So, Chris Paul's a maestro. We'll talk about him later, but I think that veteran presence helped Castle accelerate his growth at least a year or two, and help Wemby's growth. Uh, so their last 2 rookies of the year got a lot of. You got to remember, Houston traded him to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City was trying to tank, and they made the playoffs when Chris Paul went there, and then they traded him to Phoenix.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this question too. Regarding the coaching that they have now, what is the coach like in your opinion? You think he has the ability to really push them even further? Because he's Popovic from the Popovic tree. He's been selected over Becky Hammond. What kind of tangible does he bring as far as getting his team to play like they are playing now?
It's too early to uh, really come up with an opinion on Mike Johnson, but he uh, he did quite a few games, over 50 games, I think it was last year for the Spurs when Popovich had. Uh, but more importantly, it's not just the head coach; it's the training staff, it's the assistant coaches. Popovich is still there as a scout, bounce things off of. Uh, it'd be like the analogy I would draw would be like Spoelstra in his second year after taking over for Riley, but Riley was still there.
Right.
Uh, so he could become what Spoelstra is now. We won't know. Uh, Stay the course. That organization is there. There's a culture there. They don't call it a culture, but much like the Heat, they play a certain way. They coach a certain way. They develop players a certain way. They play their rookies. Uh, Certain coaches don't play rookies, but if you're going to coach under Popovich, you played your rookies.
Yeah. More
He
so
did a
when
great,
Popovich
he always
had.
did a good job of developing coaches as well as players. And we talk about his tree, but Popovich was very good at developing the coaches under him before they went and got another head coaching job.
I was gonna say, like when you mentioned rookies, Popovic was notorious. Again, he played Mono Ginobili as a rookie a lot of the time, but it didn't happen until there was an injury with the Spurs that Mono had that opportunity. But when he got in the game, it was hard to take him out the game. So I definitely agree with you on when it comes to Pop playing rookies, and now the new coach. Yeah, I agree. You have to play rookies. You got to give them that time. And you can't be like Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle was like, no, no, no. You go sit there and you're gonna wait your time. But with the Spurs, yeah, they do have an opportunity to play their
Well,
rookies when they need to.
even their playing style, if you watch the Spurs game or what have you, the talent's different, the names on the jerseys are different, but the style of play really hasn't changed.
They play a little more up tempo now. They
Because they,
push the ball.
'cause- yeah, because they got the players, but in the half court, it still looks like the Spurs to me.
Yeah.
And Harrison Barnes went off for what 30 plus points the other night.
And with Wemby, do you think he has an opportunity to win an MVP eventually?
You'd asked me that question before. I still think he's a couple years away.
No, I'm talking about yeah, yeah. So eventually he will win one eventually.
I think so.
And what's the if you had to think of one player on the Spurs to even though they're still sitting where they are in the standings, what player has really stood out to you besides Wemby?
Um, Castle's looking like pretty good, but
Yeah, I agree.
it's the and they got Harrison Barnes floating between power forward and small forward, but it's that other forward they got. I can't think of his name right now. I want to say it's Johnson, something Johnson, but it's the other forward they got that he plays well off of Wemby.
Yeah, Castle has been somewhat of a godsend for the Spurs because without him, I don't know if they'll still be pretty decent, but Castle as a rookie last year was just balling. I mean, like he just
And they traded one of their number one picks to Minnesota for that guard that Minnesota drafted. Uh,
yeah,
but the Spurs are like Oklahoma City. They got more draft picks than they got roster spots coming up.
yeah. And Kelly, I didn't even know Kelly Olynyk played for the Spurs, and he's not bad.
He's
He's
a good
probably more
backup.
of a bench player.
Yeah, he's a good
And
backup.
what are your
There's
thoughts
another center they got.
in De'Aaron Fox being added to that squad? He he's right now averaging 22.9, well, 23 points a game. What is his contributions, if you will, to the Spurs? You think he's really the anchor, or will he be surpassed by Mr. Harper, that is.
He he's what Sacramento was hoping for. He's better than just a glue player, but he doesn't have to be the best player on that team.
Mm.
He I think he fits into that role as being the third best player on the team, and it takes the pressure off of him. So I think it's actually helped his career. His numbers may not show it, but he's actually flourishing in not having to carry a team or be the first or second option. It's like, oh, okay, Castle, Wemby, now let me take all the scraps. They don't really run plays for him. But if they're in a pinch and they need somebody to go create something, he can do that. It's just you don't have to carry that weight for the 34, 5, 36 minutes of the game. So
Yeah. And they got 3 7-footers on the Spurs. And when we just talked about Wemby and Kelly Olynyk, the other guy, Luke Cornett, is 7'1". So go figure that, because they have all the tangibles of jumping up to like the number 2 spot, because like with the Thunder doing what they doing, being where they are in the standings, it's going to be hard to really catch them now because they only lost 2 games. But the Spurs, yeah, I truly think they can make that number 2 spot if they continue to go where they're going. And with Dylan Harper playing the way he's been playing lately, averaging about 13 points or almost 14 points a game, that's something that's going to make them a team to be feared for the most part when it comes to the West.
you remember in the summer when we got the number one pick, I said they should hold the Spurs hostage. They talked about Dylan Harper being the son of Ron Harper.
Yeah.
Pedigree matters. But Luke Cornett, he was a serviceable center for the Celtics.
Yep. Now he's with the Spurs.
So
I don't,
you got the height and depth that the Lakers don't have at center. So they got that length that they can compete with Houston and OKC and even the Mavericks bigs. They got enough bigs to play. And
yeah. Fortunately,
Harrison Barnes is the fourth or fifth best player on that team, and that's a nice luxury.
yeah. And unfortunately for the Mavs, we did lose Lively for the season, so he had the foot surgery. Anyway, sad, sad. Chris
Get
Paul,
healthy, come back stronger, young fella.
yes, sir. Get yourself healthy, and we can't wait to see you. And I know we talked about Chris Paul, that he's worked with, played for the Spurs. He played for a few teams in his career. I hate that the fact that he's now one of those journeymen that's in what's going on with him with the Clippers right now has been such a crazy thing. And I want to deep dive in, and I'm gonna throw it to you, Bob. Let's talk about Chris Paul, his career, and what his contributions to the NBA are. And since he hasn't retired yet, give us your thoughts on him, his career, and what he did do for the NBA.
Yeah, he's called point God for a reason. And I'll bring the stats here in a minute. To me, he's the last one of the old point guards. Your Kevin Johnsons, your John Stocktons, let me set the table for somebody else. I can score if I have to, but he's the last of the old traditional point guards in my mind. Uh, Here's an interesting fact. Chris Paul twice he was traded for 4 first round picks.
Damn.
When Houston traded him, they got 4 picks. When Oklahoma City traded him, they got 4 first round picks. And both of those trades, there was some second round picks thrown in and swaps and all. But he's the only player that I can think of that has got traded twice for 4 first round picks. So that's saying something. And then this last statement I'll make before getting his stats. Unfortunately, I think he's going to end up like Charles Barkley. He'll be one of those players that never made the NBA finals. At least Barkley made the finals. He didn't win.
Dang.
He ran into somebody named, Michael
MJ.
Jordan. So there's nothing to be apologized, but at least Barkley won an MVP and Barkley went to the finals. But, they talk about, there's not too many players they talk about, had that kind of career and never won a championship. Well, he pulled a hamstring. They were one game. They had game 6, game 7. Game 6, he pulled a hamstring, and they were that close in Houston with him and Harden and Dwight Howard to beating Golden State to go to the finals. So he was close, but that's a moniker you don't really want. So we talked a few episodes back about John Stockton. Second in steals and second in assists is Chris Paul. He's right behind John Stockton. Now we went over to give you an idea that Stockton had like 500 more assists and almost 1,000 more steals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not too shabby to be number 2 all time. He has 2,751 steals. He has 12,552 assists in his career. For 5 seasons, he was first in steals.
5 seasons, crazy.
5 seasons, 5 consecutive seasons when I looked it up. He was first in assists 3 seasons. So you're talking about a guy that dished it and scored points and stole the ball too. They don't talk about too many point guards being two-way players. They talk more about wing players and shooting guards or forwards being two-way players, but Chris Paul would be that at the point guard position. That's saying something, even before I get into the stats. So his career stats: 16.8 points a game, 4.4 rebounds a game, and 9.2 assists a game.
9.2 is crazy.
9.2 for a career. Stockton's the only one to average double for a career. 9.2 for a career. That's absurd. And scoring almost 17 points a game.
Mm.
He won Rookie of the Year in 2005, 2006. People probably forget that he was Rookie of the Year. That was a Darren Williams draft. It was the year after the Mavericks took Devin Harris.
Dang.
There was a lot of point guards in that draft in 2005. So here's some of the accolades. 11 times he's got MVP voting shares. Out of 20 seasons, 11 times he's got voting shares. So 11 times he's been on the All-NBA team. 4 times he was first team. 12 times he got All-Star shares. This one you're going to love. 9-time All-Defensive team. Guess how many out of the 7 he was first team All-Defensive team?
7.
7. Right on the money. 8 times he got Defensive Player of the Year shares. We talked about Stockton and his shooting percentage from 2-point range a few weeks ago. For his career, just a shade under what Stockton, 51.0, 51% exactly on 2-point shots for his career.
So he's a mid-range assassin.
Mid-range assassin is a good one. So he has made $400 million over his 20 seasons.
Jeez. Repeat that number.
$400 million.
crazy. Not including his endorsements.
Yeah, not including his shoe deals or his businesses. Uh, I'll scroll up here. I'll go back to John Stockton's stats. John John Stockton averaged, got here somewhere, 10.5. So he averaged almost 1.5 assists more.
Dang. But John Stockton was amazing regardless.
And he played 19 seasons, but he did not make 400 million.
Nope. That's crazy though.
So, people think of Chris Paul and they know that he's played on a lot of great teams and he's made bad teams better. But those stats, when I started looking them up, I'm like, he's not been talked. They talk about point guard because of his handles and setting, but to be that good on offense and then also be a defensive player of the year candidate that many times, to be on the all defensive team 7 times out of 11 years. I mean, that's rarefied air there.
And if it wasn't for what he did to my Mavs back in the days, I'd probably be more of a fan of Chris Paul.
Oh, when he played for New Orleans and
Yeah,
basically cut us up like a Swiss Army knife.
yeah, him
When
and was it John Smith or whatever
David Smith was the power forward and Tyson Chandler was the center.
they and Tyson Chandler knew what he needed to do. I need to get to the Mavs.
So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Jason Kidd is third in steals and assists. And everybody recognized Jason Kidd as a defensive player, but you don't hear that term thrown out much with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kidd was big for his time at the point guard, but Chris Paul's really not that tall or all that big. He's muscular and he's very strong with his hands, and
He's crafty as heck.
yeah.
And I know there's one notable thing we can mention on the MVP race. In 2008, when he was playing for New Orleans, he came in second, and guess who he lost out to in 2008? I know you know this.
Let's see. Oh, we made the finals in 06. 06, 07 was Dirk. I don't remember the year after Dirk who won it.
2008.
Was it Kawhi Leonard?
He lost it to Kobe Bryant.
He lost to Kobe. Well,
Yeah.
that's like losing to Michael Jordan. That's actually a win,
To be considered second to Kobe Bryant at that time,
Yeah.
crazy. 2008 was a sick season.
Yeah, that was a prime Kobe too.
Facts. Yeah, it's
Because they
Paul
went on
Gasol.
and won back to back. They lost to Boston that year, and then they won back to back titles before the Mavs knocked them out. So you're talking about prime Kobe.
Yeah. And as far as Chris Paul goes, what team? And I know you threw this in the group chat as far as statues, who deserves one. What team would be the first one to give Chris Paul a statue if they felt the need to do so?
He probably did more at Houston, but Houston has had enough stars. New Orleans hasn't. I think New Orleans, simply because when Katrina hit, they played in Oklahoma City, which gave Oklahoma City the boost to start by transfer franchise. Just it would be a toss up between what he did for the city in New Orleans and the Clippers. More notoriety with the Clippers, more success with the Rockets, but as far as like off the court and what he was able to do and what he meant to the city, I think New Orleans probably treasures him more. But the Clippers don't exactly have a long list of great players either.
Yeah, and I was thinking it would be the Clippers more so than New Orleans. Not to say New Orleans wouldn't do it, but if I had to choose a team that would do it first, it'd probably be the Clippers because Lob City was such a phenomenon at the time. So it was just an amazing
Yeah,
what flew.
and the State Farm commercials that they did when he was with the Clippers. But and here's the other fact. He's the only player to have a trade rejected that involved him by the commissioner.
The Lakers, right? Him going to the Lakers.
Yeah, yeah. And David Stern, because the NBA owned the New Orleans franchise at the time because they were in bankruptcy.
That's crazy.
Now there's other players that have been rejected because they failed the physical. Oklahoma City was going to take Tyson Chandler and he failed the physical from the surgeon who had done the surgery. And then, the Lakers were going to trade for Mark Williams and they rejected that trade later. But Chris Paul's the only one to have a non-owner or not because he didn't pay the physical. He's the only player to ever be the trade rejected because the commissioner didn't think it was fair.
Yeah. And my last question on this one, what's going on with him with the Lakers now since they released him from the team kind of sorta? Him and Ty Lue were not seeing eye to eye for whatever reason. Does that tarnish his legacy with the Clippers? Because I know we mentioned that they may be considerate of building him a statue one day, but does him?
Not really. Too much equity built up with Lob City.
Yeah.
What people will say was he should have retired a year earlier. He didn't have the greatest of seasons at Golden State last year either.
And I think his retirement tour should go through New Orleans instead of the Clippers. You know what I mean? I would have went back to the Clippers, and I know what's been said out, on the internet is basically he was really overstepping his boundaries when it comes to what Tyler was trying to do with the Clippers currently.
And it's an old team. We said that at the beginning of the year. It's an old team.
Yeah, and I gotta go too far. Okay, well, it's a great show today, guys. We appreciate y'all chiming in. Man, I really wanted to talk about Chris Paul for sure because what's going on in the news with him right now. Bob, I thank you so much for just bringing in the topics as far as the conversation, his stats, and what he brought to the city of New Orleans and the city of LA. He's a good player. I salute you, Chris, man. Again, I'm not a big fan of yours because what you did to my.
I'm trading for D'Lo straight up right now.
I would not sneeze at that. I'll be like, come on, let's do it. Anyway, man, we're closing out. Boogie Bob, tell the people where they can find you at on these social media streets, man, so they can catch up with you. And then, guys, subscribe to Boogie Bob on YouTube. Go ahead, my brother.
Subscribe, Boogie Bob, or subscribe on Swish for real.
Swish for real. Yes, sir. Again, I always appreciate you coming on. We had a great conversation. If you want to check me out, I'm on X, Mikhail Lampkin, poet-director. I'm on Instagram now, Mikhail, poet-director. I'm on YouTube, poet-director, Mikhail Lampkin. And always on Swish for real, baby. And again, if you guys want a t-shirt, leave a comment, say t-shirt, and we'll get you one, man. We'll figure out how to get it to you. We'll mail it to you. We'll do what we got to do, man.
That's it,
heaven and earth just to get you that t-shirt, man. Appreciate you guys for chiming in. But goodbye. We are signing out. Peace, guys. Have a great one.